Welcome back, everybody, to the Sports File, a 35-year reboot. This will be episode number 8. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the Broncos mini camp that's just kicked off. This is their mandatory mini camp that just kicked off down in Dove Valley. We'll also talk about quick hits on just kind of where the NBA championship between the Celtics and the Mavericks is headed. We'll also do a brief talk, maybe a little bit more than a brief chat about the Euros 2024 that is kicking off in Germany this weekend. And then we'll end it with talking about Breckenridge, Colorado. All right, topic number 1, the Denver Broncos mandatory mini camp kicked off today on Tuesday. We'll talk about kind of the QB competition and then some thoughts on Cortland Sutton as well. So today's mini camp did a kind of what I think is a bizarre format, but Peyton's been doing this with these mini camps is he's rotating guys on different days on the QB room to basically playing with the different teams, right? So no clear defined starter. He's basically having each of the 3 QBs, Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Bo Nix rotate into the first team, which are the starters, your second team, and then your third team. So today's minicamp saw Jarrett Stidham, the incumbent who finished out the season last year, start. By all accounts, he has a bigger like runway where you would say, oh, he's been in this system for at least over a year now. He's really on year 2 of the system, knows it, should probably comprehend the offense pretty well. Where you've still got Bo Nix and Zach Wilson ramping up into this offense. I will say I think it's bizarre that what he's doing with this like rotation. I think Broncos country in general would be incredibly disappointed if Jarrett Stidham was rolled out there as week 1 starter. I just think Stidham is what he is. He's a journeyman backup. I think he probably has a great place in this team. Can provide some great experience to Zach and Bo about what to really expect within the NFL. I think Zach can bring a little bit of that, but Zach's always suffered from a little bit of maturity issues. But I think rolling out Jarrett Stidham, on day 1 of minicamp as your starter, you really got to wonder what are we doing here, right? I mean, I don't think there's an expectation in Broncos country this year that the Broncos are actually going to, really go far, right? I mean, I think by all accounts, you're looking at a team that's going to maybe win 5 games. I think Las Vegas has them, the over is 5.5 games. So smart guys over there, obviously in Las Vegas with the betting odds, but they're in an incredibly tough division. They're totally in a rebuild right now, and I think the expectation needs to be just that. You're not trying to win right now. And even if you were trying to win right now, I mean, are you really going to win with Jarrett Stidham at your quarterback? Probably not. And so I think, I wouldn't be doing this. I think what you'll see next is either tomorrow you'll see Zach start with the ones, and then you'll have Bo probably finish out with starting with the ones. Peyton's comments were a little kind of weird, in my opinion. When at the presser today, he was asked about it, and he just said, look, I have in my head when I'm going to make a decision, and it's a gut feel for me, but it may not come down to, the week before the NFL season kicks off. That's complete BS, if we're being honest, right? Sean Payton knows right now. I think he knows, he's smart enough to know that Bo Nix is going to be the guy. Now, if Bo Nix isn't the guy, right? I think the reasonable expectation is if he doesn't start on week 1, that you would see probably a Zach Wilson or maybe Jared tried out there in week 1 and last till about Thanksgiving, right? If at the very least. But I think that would be a disappointment. I also think it would be a tell that they're not exactly happy with the progress Bo Nix made, and maybe he's not all cracked up to be. I really do believe the way Peyton talks so glowingly about Bo Nix, he's going to be your week 1 starter. So the way I look at it is, why aren't you doing that now? There's a great opinion piece in the Denver Post that came out yesterday. One of their columnists there, Sean Keller, the great Sean Keller, who wrote this, basically saying he talked to a guy, John Cooper, who goes so far back with Sean Payton. I mean, John Cooper watched him play football in high school. That's how far back he goes with Sean. And he was saying he saw play football in high school with Sean Payton, right? And he's one of their, he's worked for Orland Scouting Service. He's essentially the associate general manager and senior draft analyst. So he analyzes these guys all day long, right? A couple things is like, and this isn't a surprise to me. I grew up in the greater Boston area, in that small town I talked about in the last pod in Scituate, Massachusetts, where the New England Patriots stunk. They stunk until Bill Parcells got there, right? And Bill Parcells drafted Drew Bledsoe, turned it around. He left, and went out and got Belichick after that, and the rest is history with what New England did. But he's definitely what this John Cooper is saying is there's some similarities with Peyton and Bill Parcells. That is so obvious to me when he talks. He's basically the authoritarian, right? He really is, I think, at that stage, and I know probably the younger generation doesn't like to hear this, but the reality is there's one boss in the room, and it's Sean Payton, and that's clear. He's the guy. He's almost like that dictator type, the authoritative guy, and he's playing that role. I think locked down the Broncos last year. I think it was like total wake-up call for Broncos country. The access was shut off. The Denver media was really upset with how little access they got. It was an adjustment. This is exactly what Bill Parcells does. Controls the narrative everywhere from how practice, how training, how mini camps and training camps and the OTAs are going, all the way up to controlling who's speaking to the media, what they're saying, the access that are given out. He'll definitely need the mandatory things, but that the NFL set out. But that's who Sean Payton is. I think it's very, very obvious. So when we think about Zach Wilson here, potentially being this guy says, he doesn't necessarily think that Zach Wilson is going to become a better quarterback from working with Sean. He just feels like what you see with Zach is what you're going to get. That kind of a little bit immaturity, not totally. I would say. Has these boneheaded moves. He's got all the talent in the world, but then see him do weird things. It reminds me a little bit of like a Mark Sanchez, with the Jets, where like the infamous bubble, right? Like the infamous or he'll try to throw it another hand. Try to throw it another hand. It's bizarre behavior. And so what he's really saying is, right? He's got all of this college experience. All of this college experience that he's played a ton of football. He's played a ton of football, and there's an advantage. He also goes on, which I thought was super interesting. A super kind of commentary around this is that Knicks will be 24 and a half during the preseason. That's pretty old, right? That's pretty old. In perspective, he's older than Trey Lance, who was drafted by the Niners, and then was later shipped out to the Cowboys, right? He's older than Sam Howell, who was the Washington Commanders quarterback, right? He's also older than Bryce C.J. Stroud, C.J. Richardson, and I think everybody thinks C.J. Stroud is arguably a top 10 quarterback right now. What he did with Houston last year is incredible. But this guy's older, right? This guy's older, right? You didn't draft a kid, right? And you didn't draft him to lug Jared Stidham's clipboard for the next 6 weeks. He really needs consistency to get to that next level of quarterback. So I don't know what really Sean Payton is doing here. It is bizarre in my eyes. It is bizarre in my eyes. I just say, if you're this in love with this guy, by all accounts, you drafted him higher than a lot of people had him at. Why don't you just put him out and announce it now? Yes, Bo Nix is our week one starter. There's no question to that. There's no question. We're going to roll with him. We're going to roll with him. And I think that's ultimately really what they should be doing right now. It's silly to be messing around with Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson, in my opinion. As far as Cortland Sutton, sort of upset about his contract. Doesn't like that he doesn't go to the voluntary workouts in the offseason. He showed up in the offseason. Showed up this week for the mandatory because he knew he would lose at least $100,000 in potential fines. He's pretty vocal at his presser today about how he's really unhappy that he actually was happy that he actually was skipping out of the mini camp, but skipping out of the mini camp, but ultimately came to I'm going to come and I want to be around the guys. Blah blah blah, right? Blah blah almost like at this point with Courtland Sutton, I think Courtland Sutton's lucky. I think Courtland roster. If the Broncos truly are in rebuild mode, why are they still have this guy? Why are they still have this guy? Yes, he had a great year last year. Yes, he had a great year last year. He had 10 touchdowns at quarterback, right? He's still got 2 years and 26.5 million remaining on his 4-year, $60.8 million extension that he signed back in 2021. His big sticking point is that there's no more guarantees left on it. He wants some guarantees, right? And I'm gotta be honest. Like, I just don't think you have any leverage here. I just don't think you have any leverage here. You've been okay. I don't think you would go down as this great, wonderful Broncos wide receiver and have all the respect, have all the and everything else. He's not, in my opinion. He's not even at that Demaryius Thomas. He's not even at that Demaryius Thomas who played. Great Demaryius Thomas, phenomenal for years and played under Peyton Manning, right? I mean, he was Peyton Manning. Great. I don't think Courtland Sutton is at that level. Courtland Sutton is at that level. His biggest asset is while he's tall, and he's a veteran, and he's been here next to Garrett Bowles, and so next to Garrett Bowles, I think he's thinking, I'm due, and I need my contract. We've already talked about the salary cap. We've already talked about the salary cap have. And I think in a lot of ways, and I think in a lot of ways, I don't know if the Broncos are necessarily going to give him a little bit more money, or maybe give him a little bit more money, or maybe extend him. I think they wouldn't be that upset to let him walk. Wide receivers nowadays, you see every draft, the wide receivers that are getting selected. It is easy to get a wide receiver, in my opinion. And maybe the smart move is right. Maybe the smart move is right. Go ahead and cut. You'd have to look at what the salary. You'd have to look at what the salary cap implications are if you were to let him go. But the reality is you could let him go. But the reality is you could let him go and go pick up towards the end of training camp, towards the end of training camp, who probably could fill in. Playoff team. There's no need to have a Courtland Sutton if you believe he's your true number one. And there were times last year, with Jerry Jeudy, a lot of people were saying when Jerry Jeudy was playing in the number one slot when Courtland was hurt, he really played really well. So is he really a difference maker out there in the field? I don't think so. And I don't really think he really has a whole leg to stand on here. But I mean, but doesn't hurt to ask. Obviously, he doesn't hurt to ask. Try to get some more money. Wants to try to get us more money, guaranteed money. We'll see where it goes, but I just don't think Courtland. It's falling kind of on deaf ears. It's falling kind of on deaf ears. This extension and guaranteed money that he wants. All right, topic number two. Euro 2024 is getting ready to kick off in Germany. Germany's the host country this year. What is the Euro 2024? This is football or soccer's equivalent to essentially the European Championship, right? This is like, think of it as almost like the World Cup that they play, but it's just teams in Europe. Big tournament. All the teams are big teams are there, and so we're going to see what happens here on Saturday. When it kicks off, I'm a fan of England, so I think over the next few weeks here, the next month when we release podcasts, you're going to hear me talking more about England. I just love watching England play. Root for them, even though it's been a while since they hosted one of these cups. So I'll just go over quickly here kind of the favorites. We can talk through the first kind of five favorites, and then we can go look at some of the other teams that are more long shots. But really the favorite this year, when we look at this, is England. England is loaded, absolutely loaded right now. So loaded, in fact, that Gareth Southgate, the manager for England, left off Marcus Rashford, Jack Grealish, Harry Maguire, and also James Maddison. Those are all four people that actually were on the World Cup team last year that were playing. I think 3 out of the 4 started. So that's how loaded they are. Their current odds, Las Vegas has them at a plus 350. They're getting the best odds out there right now to win. Coming very close. They made it to the finals back in 2021. There's actually a great documentary on Netflix if you want to watch it. It's called, just do a search for Wembley, and talks about kind of how Wembley got overrun by the stands. But England ended up losing to Italy that day in the finals back in 2021. It was played in 2022 due to COVID. They lost 2-1. But they're coming off, they've got some superstars on the team right now. Obviously, Harry Kane, which is perennial star for England, the captain of England. You've got Jude Bellingham coming off of UEFA's Championship League win with Real Madrid. And I think you're going to see Jude really step it up. I think in this one here, and then they're loaded with Saka and the rest of the crew. They're just really stacked England. So I'm really rooting for England to win it this year finally and bring the cup home, as they say. France is always tough. They're the second favorites at plus 400. Another team that's absolutely stacked. They were the 2018 World Cup winners, and then they were the 2022 World Cup runner-up. Roster stacked, right? Led by Kylian Mbappe. He's 25 years old, and he's just announced that he's leaving Paris Saint-Germain for Real Madrid. And it's also going to be his first tournament leading the team as the captain of the French team. Number 3, Germany. Germany's always tough, plus they're the host country here. You're definitely going to see a boost, right? Germany's really good roster. Great, they could definitely win it. But they're probably not as stacked if this was being held in another country. It'd be interesting to see if they really would be like a the third favorite here to win. It's been a little rough here for Germany over the last few years. They're currently getting plus 550 odds, but they're a decade now removed from his 2014 World Cup triumph, and they really haven't come close to reaching those heights in either the Euros or the World Cup since. In fact, Germany has failed to advance past the group stage in the last 2 World Cups. So they're definitely getting a boost being this host country here. Think about the fans in Germany that are going to be going and rooting them on. And they really do have some talented players and have been key contributors for some of the top European teams. Portugal. Coming in at the 4th odd. By the way, I'm referencing the USA Today article on this that was released today. Plus 700. This is really the last dance for Cristiano Ronaldo. He's getting up there. He's 39. 5-time Ballon d'Or winner. He holds the records for most international appearances and goals. But he's definitely, he's past his prime, right? He's not exactly the player he once was, but still, he's great. And it's amazing that he's still playing at the level he's playing at 39. I think the only to equate it back to probably U.S. sports, right, in the NBA, it's probably similar to like a LeBron James, right? LeBron James is playing fantastic at the age of 40. Ronaldo's playing really well at 39, but he is in the Saudi League now, which is it's not the same as playing in Europe. Contrary to what some of the players that are saying, oh no, we're super competitive in Saudi. You're not. You're there for the money, and that's fine too. So they did pull off a stunner of sorts back in 2016, upsetting the host nation France in the final to win that Euro back in 2016. They do have some younger talents like Joe Neves, who could help. He's their 19-year-old youngster, and maybe they can help push them forward. Definitely they'll get out of the group stage. And then coming in at 5 is Spain. Spain's always tough. Back in their glory days, the 2008 Euros, the 2010 World Cup, and the 2012 Euro title run. Kind of a fading memory. But they do have a new generation that's really young right now that is leading this. They have the 16-year-old Lamine Yamal, who plays at FC Barcelona, and he was fast-tracked to the national team, will be the youngest player at the Euros 2024 this year. And they also have the 21-year-old Pedri, and he's already been in 2 major tournaments. So odds are great. I mean, if you look at watching the Euros is going to be a ton of fun. I love watching soccer. And I love watching these big sports, especially the European ones, go off. It's kind of like a mini World Cup happening right now. I mean, rounding out, I guess the top 10 would be Italy after Spain, and you have the Netherlands, Belgium, and Croatia, and then Denmark. And after that, you're getting into countries like Ukraine, Scotland, Romania, the Czech Republic, Poland. They don't have much of a chance, but it's a great tournament. Check it out. It'll be airing. Check it out on Fox. It'll be airing. I think it airs on Fox for the most part, Fox or FS1 or FS2. Great if you're new to soccer and you really want to see top class or top world class soccer. Check it out. The Euros 2024 that'll be kicking off this Saturday. All right, topic number 3, the NBA championship. We've got the Boston Celtics going up against the Dallas Mavericks. Boy, did I have this wrong. I think I read into the hype that Luka with the Mavs and Kyrie, this was their year. It's not their year. Celtics are stacked, and it doesn't matter that they're coming out of the weaker Eastern Conference. They are just playing amazing right now. You're led by Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday, and now that they have Porzingis back, they're just stacked. There's no other way to say it. Playing really well. They took the first two games at home pretty easily, I would say. First one really easily. Second one, Mavs got, I think, within 8 or 9. Even at the end of the game, they got within 6 or 7, and it really wasn't that close. Luka definitely looks like he's worn down. Kyrie has sort of disappeared, which is super disappointing because he's played so well. There's maybe something against him playing the Celtics' former team. Maybe he's just does not like playing there anymore, and who knows where his head's at. This is kind of what the knock on Kyrie is, right? Is that he shows up. When he shows up, he's great, and when he doesn't, you get this weird ghost that's out there. What's been interesting about the Celtics is, and then texting with my brother this week, who's in Massachusetts still, he hit it on the head, and this is what a lot of people have been saying. Is his thing was unpopular take. Jason Tatum is overrated. I can't disagree with that, right? I've talked a little bit about it. He disappears. It's weird. He's not that alpha male, right? You want the alpha there that's leading you, and that's not him. He'll just disappear for 7-8 minutes. And it's just, at times you want to see him just take over, and you want to see him just, say, this is my team and I'm doing it. But Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday are just absolutely playing lights out, and Tatum is doing what he does, but it's weird. I don't get it. He's very passive. I guess he's not that kind of quote-unquote alpha leader. But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter with the Celtics. They are going to absolutely, I think, win this thing now. They'll probably win it in 5, maybe 6. I mean, who knows if they win in Dallas tomorrow night. This thing is over. It could be a sweep, but it's going to be a tough road for Dallas to come back. I think Game 3 in Dallas is an absolute must-win. If Luka and Kyrie don't show up to that game, then this thing is over. And the Celtics, I believe, are going to be setting their record championship. I think at that point they're going to have, 18 or 19 world championships, which is just an incredible domination by the Boston Celtics. More to come on the Celtics. We'll recap them next week, where they stand against the Dallas Mavs. So more to come on that topic as well. All right, topic number 4, the great Breckenridge, Colorado, which is located in Summit County, Colorado, about an hour and 15 minutes this time of year. I would argue the mountains of Colorado are just hidden secret in the summertime. If you're around here, get up there. If you're new to the area, go. You won't regret it. There's so much to do up there. The weather, beautiful. It's about 70 degrees during the day. Cools off into the upper, mid to upper 40s at night. No AC up there. Windows open. Great cool mountain air, and just beautiful weather during the day. Was up there for about 4 days with my wife and son. My wife was attending a conference. My son and I tagged along. I worked from up there the first 2 days, and then we spent the weekend up there as well. Went to some really great restaurants up there. There are 2 restaurants up there that arguably are, you could put them in Denver, and they very well may be the number 1 and 2 restaurants in all of Denver. They're owned by the same chef. Came out of the kind of Fruition Mercantile family. In fact, he just won a James Beard for one of the restaurants as well this week. First one is Radicato. Radicato is beautiful restaurant. Walk in, kind of upscale Italian is what I would say. Kind of a new spin on it. My son got this lobster kind of spaghetti / tomato sauce dish that they always have on their menu. He loves it. Thinks it's the greatest, dish in the world. I think his quote was, it's arguably his favorite dish all time that he's had. And then all of their pastas are homemade. Really, really great setting. It kind of backs up to the river there that runs through Breckenridge for the folks that have been out there. You've got the aspens that are fully bloomed now. Flowers are all out. Cool nights. You're hearing the river really running right now with the snow still coming down. I mean, there's still a fair amount of snow, so all the melt's occurring now, but the Blue River was going pretty good. So you get to hear that in the background, and then the food, just great place, Radicato. Second restaurant was Rootstock, which is owned by the guy from, I think his name's Josh, who owns Radicato as well. Rootstock, great restaurant. I mean, it's the thing about Breckenridge that's cool. My son mentioned this as well. Is you drive down Main Street and it's all these former little homes that are lined up there against Main Street, and a lot of them have been transformed into either restaurants or bars or shops. Or like a Starbucks, for example, took one over. And Rootstock is just that. It's this old little house, beautiful, that they've redone it. They've restored it. They've got an upstairs and a downstairs. The upstairs has a great bar area. Tables kind of spread out. You think of an older home, you've got a quirky layout. That's exactly what you have. You have kind of tables sitting in the windows, but great views all around. We were actually seated in the basement, which is actually where the chef prepares everything. So that was cool to kind of see. And the way the booth was designed is we were all looking out at the floor plan and seeing them prepare the food. A fantastic meal. This was, seriously, I would put this up here. If this was in Denver, this is a top 5 restaurant easily. The food was great. I had this New York strip done with, kind of, it sounds boring when you say a New York strip, but it wasn't that. It was, marinated with different sauces on the plate. They did this potato, kind of like a brick of potato is the best way to describe it, that had been like fried. Tons of flavor. They had fresh mushrooms on the plate as well, with this kind of green sauce that was there that was super interesting, with peas and garlic, and had been pureed. All of the flavors together, when you take one bite together, was just outstanding. Rootstock, I mean, you don't walk there, just run. And you can thank me later if you get there. It is excellent. I highly recommend it. Another one, I went there with my son one night, was the whiskey cafe and barbecue place. So barbecue, he found this, was like, he loves barbecue. We went there, we sat on their back deck, which again backed up to the river in the aspen trees. So we sat outside, great night, about 70 degrees when we ate dinner around 6:00. Had a great time. The barbecue, I had the pulled pork, he had the brisket, loved it. Whiskey Cafe is also known for having over 200 different whiskeys there. We didn't partake in that, but what I can say is that the local Breckenridge hazy IPA that I had was great. Just great place to go. Definitely check out Breckenridge if you haven't been there. We definitely have gone there skiing over the winter. Breckenridge is one of those true mountain towns, a little touristy, but boy, do they have a restaurant scene. And those are just 3 of the restaurants that we tried, and they were all great. I would highly recommend it. That's it for the Sports File this week, a 35-year reboot. We'll be back next week where we'll kind of recap the Broncos mini camp, talk about if the NBA championships are still going on, or if the Celtics are your world champs, and then we'll break down the Euro 2024. Go England. So wherever you listen to your podcast, please like, subscribe, or comment, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks.